All right, so we're going live.
Awesome.
Hi, everybody. I guess I need to get in the camera a little bit so you guys can see me just a little bit. I have a very special guest today, and her name is Latrice Rice. She is a member of the Living with Loss community, and I just want to tell you guys how we met. So last winter, we had a widows roundtable, and she was recommended to me by her pastor.
Yes, she is.
Hi, Kelly. I don't know if she even is a member or if she watches. Look, we're on 3 screens. But anyway, everybody, her and I bonded, and the other 2 widows loved her. And I mean, that was the first day we met, and we just clicked, and we've been on the phone talking.
Woo. God is good.
He is good. And we've had some conversations, and we've gotten back around to this point. We've planned an event. It didn't happen yet, but it's going to happen.
Absolutely.
Hi, Michelle. Thanks for watching. But anyway, so we're getting back to, I'm just introducing how we met and what happened. She came highly recommended by her pastor.
Oh, I love her.
I love Kelly too. She came highly recommended. Our Facebook Live for widows was a success. But I just felt like I needed to bring her back on because she has more to say.
Wow.
And people really need to hear what she has to say. And I may not be in the camera much because it's more about what she has to say. We bonded, and I think we're just going to be friends for life.
Come on. I love it.
So I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself,
Yes.
personally about yourself.
Okay, personally about me, I am an ordained elder. I'm a minister at Spirit and Truth Christian Ministries.
Shout out to your church.
Shout out Pastor Kelly Renee Williams, Bishop James A. Williams II.
Don't make me shout out my church.
Shout him out, come on.
I always put my pastor on here. Pastor Hopkins is always, I put him on the feed, sometimes his word. So everybody know, if you don't know, Pastor Hopkins is my pastor, and his wife, Adrian. And so now we just shouted out our pastor.
Absolutely.
Okay. So now we can move on with our interview. I'm going to get him on here. I keep telling them that they need to be on.
Ooh, that would be
We're going to do a Father's Day panel.
great. Ooh, nice.
I may have to bring you back for but it's going to be a round table. And it's going to be
Okay.
about fathers and people who have lost their fathers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so anyway, just pumping up the Father's Day. Anyway, so tell us, going back, tell us after the commercial.
Right, after the commercial, now let me get back to the regular scheduled program.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am a director at U of M. I'm also the owner of Royal Clarity View, LLC, which is my mindset coaching / private practice. I'm a clinical therapist. I am a motivational speaker. I'm an author, and I also assist others who desire to write their stories. So that's a little bit about me.
So you kind of mixed your personal self and your professional self, so I don't have to ask you about profession. I saw something that you did. I saw it on Facebook where you went to the selfie museum. That looks so cool. I gotta do that.
Yes.
I gotta go to the selfie museum.
Yes.
Life is so much fun if you make it fun.
Absolutely.
And so even today, as we're sitting here talking, I discovered some more stuff about you. But how long have you been in ministry?
Ooh, in ministry, I preached my initial sermon in 2009. So February 2009.
And what's this year? How many years? That's a long time.
Let's see here. This year is.
I don't know. Math. It may be close to 15.
Yeah,
Anyway.
absolutely.
So if anybody in the chat can figure that math part out, let us know. As we're struggling over
Put that in the chat.
because we're struggling over here. I know 2019 will be 2 years, 10 years. Oh Lord. Okay, never mind. Let's keep moving.
So we're not even gonna figure out the years. It's been a long
It's been
time.
over 10 years.
Absolutely. There we go.
I can't believe we just embarrassed ourselves.
No, this is fun. We're gonna interact. Somebody's gonna put those numbers there. Don't put my age though. Now let me
Definitely don't put mine. Well, my kids don't even know how old I am. Don't look on your birth certificate.
yes. Yes.
Okay.
So-
All right, let's get serious.
As far as being ordained, I was ordained in 2018.
Okay. Okay. All righty. Oh, no, never mind.
Yes.
So, how long have you been writing? That's important.
I have been writing since I was 7 years old.
And why do you think you start writing?
Well, I need to start writing so I can keep my life. But
Wait a minute. Keep your life. What in the world?
Let's be real.
Back it up. Keep your life.
I
Tell
keep
me
my
what-
life.
Tell
I'm
me.
telling you.
What happened?
At 7. At 7. So at 7, my mother died of AIDS. My dad died in 2011. But from at that 7, I remember, now I know it's depression, but I remember being that angry youth. Listen, that you stepped on that shoe, we fighting. I remember being that person, extremely quiet and standoffish, that type of thing. And I remember my grandmother gave me my first journal, and she said, well, write however you feel. So I was writing everything in that journal. That's where I started writing. I would say 7. Writing daily, how I'm feeling about the things, really missing my mom. There's an assignment that we get in all these language classes. And I don't think we really think about how that affects youth who've lost a parent. So the assignment that I'm going to mention is, tell me about your family.
You know, that's a workshop we should do for youth.
Woo, yes. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I'm all for
Okay,
it.
so everybody, we're going to do a workshop. You heard it. For
Woo.
youth who have lost their parents.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because I lost my father. I was 17.
Really?
I followed my father everywhere. When I say I follow him everywhere,
That's real.
I would stand and watch him shave.
Come on. It's real. It's real.
I thought I was a boy because he played baseball and I followed him to the base. He played for the post office league and
Yes.
I wanted to be like him.
That's real.
It is real. And so I think my life took a different turn.
Mhm.
Children need their father.
Yes,
But
they do.
girls need their father more.
I
I
get
mean, anyway, we're not gonna get into
I
that
get
part,
it.
but
Children we need our parents.
we do.
I
And you lost your mom at 7.
At 7, I lost my mom at 7. For me, I remember her being here and then not, and we were not allowed to go to the funeral. My grandmother met with a psychiatrist at that time that advised her not to allow us to go to the funeral because my mom did not look the same, and she felt it would be more traumatic. Now, for me, I'm like, that was a bad decision because what I consistently dealt with was somebody lying. You're not really here. You know, so I'm dealing with that type. She's somewhere. She just don't want to be here, or that type of thing. Because when you see someone in the room and then now they're not there anymore.
She died at home?
No, she didn't die at home.
Oh, okay.
The last time I saw her was at home.
Oh,
All right.
okay. Oh, I'm like, what?
She went to the doctor. The last time I saw her, she was there. She was supposed to come back. She did not come back.
Oh.
And so for me, that was super traumatic. And I remember having these fights. And this is actually the running thing with my first book, Gate to Life. So my grandmother would always say, don't be stupid all your life. At some point, get a clue.
Oh, I like that. I think that's something grandmothers say.
And I remember saying, "Now, Grandma, you just called me stupid." And she said, "I didn't call you stupid. I said, don't be. Now, what you just did was stupid." If you keep doing stupid things, people are going to assume that you are stupid. So you have to make a choice. I'm like, okay. But I finally got where she was coming from with that. And there was a period, even in that particular book, where I talk about that shift. With regards to writing, when I said I needed to write to live, I needed to get all of those emotions and things that I was dealing with out. Because I remember having those periods of not wanting to live. I wanted to be where my mom was. You know, as a kid, it's like, why am I still here and she's not? I want to go where she's at. Why did she leave me? And when people don't answer those questions and you don't help that child deal with that magnitude of grief, it comes out in other things.
It does.
It may come out in a child that you think is real mouthy. It may come out in a child that's consistently fighting.
Absolutely.
Or a child that's not doing their work. You know, some of the things that, and this is something I mention when I talk to people at schools, we see the kid that's constantly in trouble, but you don't really see the kid that's off to the side, doing all their work and they're quiet. They're getting A's, but that baby is struggling.
But let me say
I've been
this. You lost your mom at 7.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever realize your grandmother lost her daughter?
Absolutely. That's a whole nother
I mean,
piece.
so she has to raise her daughter's children.
Exactly.
So she's dealing with two things.
Yes,
You
she
as a kid at 7 know I don't have a mother anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to deal with this old lady who's telling me I'm stupid.
Right.
I want my mama. She's not telling me I'm stupid. But I mean, it hurts. And people don't realize grandparents raising their children's children. You got to deal with losing your own child.
Yes,
and
you
now
do.
you got to deal with these kids.
Yes, you do. And the attitudes.
Right.
Each child has their own things they're dealing with because they're also dealing with that same loss. So you're dealing with your pain and then their pain. And my grandmother was very reserved. So I didn't see her crying. I didn't see that part because if you keep in mind, culture, a lot of times we shield the real emotions that we're actually dealing with. When you're youth, actually need to see how do you make it through. We need to see the how. Because right now it looks as if you never deal with a struggle.
Well, she was dealing with trying to raise, and I guess when I interviewed the other two widows, they said they had to be strong for their children.
But the thing for the child is that means that I can't grieve. The
Because-
message that you send is it's not okay for you to cry. Because I'm supposed to be following your example. But if you're hurting and I can't see any aspect of that, then do you actually feel?
And how does a 7-year-old process that?
Yeah.
So
That
anyway,
part.
you lost your mom. You lost your mom to AIDS,
My dad as well.
but you lost your dad years later.
Yes. Because keep in mind, this is 1980. Now I'm going to throw my age out there.
Okay, so you lost your mom
My mom.
of AIDS, and then your dad
He
died
lived
years
with
later.
it. He lived with it for years. He lived with HIV for years. He didn't die until 2011. So my dad, I was really close to my dad, especially in those beginning phases. And then there's some things that occurred, and we had a moment where we did not, I didn't see him as frequently. But the blessing for me is that I was able to actually have a conversation with my dad. And we were able to work through things even before he passed. So much so that he, asked me to preach the eulogy. And it was just a awesome period of reconciliation, if you will.
Wow.
And some of the stuff that I thought, because sometimes we see things, especially a child dealing with loss, you see it from your lens, and that's as your lens as a child, how that loss impacted you. But you don't see it from the lens of the individual. My mom was monogamous, my dad was not, and my mom was anemic. So when she contracted the HIV virus, it quickly went to AIDS for her. However, he lived, when we had that conversation, he said, you don't know what it feels like to live with guilt. You don't know what it feels like to wish it was you all these years.
Oh my goodness.
So sometimes the people that you're angry with because of the loss are also dealing with weights from that same loss themselves. So when we're, as Christians, we're offering forgiveness and grace and mercy because we're extended that, it's even more powerful when you're able to see it from another perspective.
Wow.
Even learning about his background and what he dealt with and how he got to the period where he was powerful. But yes.
Wow. This is not how this interview was supposed to go. So you've been writing a long time, and I know so your grandmother knew what she was doing when she threw
did.
the journal, and you got a couple books here.
I do. I want to tell you about the journal though. Before we go to these books, because my grandmother had us writing in the journal, and I would write, and I remember because she said, whatever you want to write, you write in there, however you felt. She would read it. If I left that journal, and I would leave it there on purpose sometimes.
I can't stand my grandmother.
Oh yes. And then you would see her make certain statements. Well, some people just hated it, which let me know she read my journal.
I wanted you to read that. I can't stand.
Don't just leave your things laying around if you want it to be private. You know.
You probably wrote it, opened the book, left it to the page, wrote it in red and put stars by it.
So my brother and I, we were talking about this the other day. He said, I never understood what grandma was talking about because sometimes she would just make random comments. And he was saying some of the comments. I said, oh, that was from my journal. She was responding. And only I knew what she was talking about.
You were torturing your poor grandma. I was like, look at these bad kids here. And this child right now, she hates my cooking. She don't like this.
And then when we got older, my grandma and I, our relationship was wonderful when we got older. When I got older. And just to talk about that experience with her, she was like, I saw your little notes.
But you told me to write that.
It's like, whatever you want to say in your journal, that's your business. But you was reading it. I knew you were. Because I put stuff to check to see if you actually read my stuff.
You were a smart 7-year-old. Oh my God.
Oh. However, you couldn't get in trouble because it's supposed to be private.
You're right. Oh, that's a good one. Now, that's a good one. You told me to write.
Curse words. It was a mess.
You was cussing around in the journal. No, this is hilarious. Cuss around.
I got a lot to say. I'm gonna get all of this off my chest.
You 7, you 9, you can't cuss around, but you can write it
I
down.
can write it out.
You told me to write it, so you were just doing what you were told. I get it.
But what I get though from that is it also demonstrates the power that you have in writing. Because you're able to get a release through that writing process. At the same time, you can deal with real issues after you've written some things out. Because it opens a door. If somebody reads it, it'll open the door.
You probably got on punishment for no reason. You closed my door wrong. You on punishment for a month. Close the door. Yeah, I read that journal.
Oh my goodness. Hilarious.
So she started you to writing.
Absolutely.
And she probably didn't even know that you were going to be an author.
No, but you know what? She continuously cultivated that gift. So she started me to writing. I'm writing in a journal, right? There will be other times in which her birthday comes up. So, Grandma, what do you want for your birthday? She said, from you, I want something personal. Okay, well, I wrote her a poem. You know?
Right.
So then now I'm in poetry. So I was going.
I didn't know you wrote poetry.
I did. I shifted into poetry.
Oh.
Actually, writing poems, I did that even in high school. And I had this little small business called Surprising Gifts and Creations in high school. And I'm writing poems for teachers and friends and charging $3 here if you want to bear it. Only a $5 charge with the poem and a bear, you know, with a frame, you want to add $10.
You just
But
entrepreneur in high school, like that girl over there write poems. Okay, so side note, I'm about to put my business out here. I used to work in the prison.
Really?
Yeah, I worked in Michigan Department of Corrections for 18 and a half years, but I only worked in the prison for 3. So some people who get letters from prison, just here's FYI, they have a poetry man and a card man.
Oh my.
So the man will write the poetry and give it to the card man, and that right there. That's all I want to say. Some of these guys couldn't even write. They would have somebody else writing for them.
Wow.
Yeah, and you get this letter from prison, and you think, oh my God, he's so romantic. He can't even write. He don't. Anyway, okay, that was a side note. They don't have
My.
That's a secret. Somebody need to know that.
Oh my. It's been exposed today. But yes, so that she continuously cultivated that gift.
That's good.
Whenever you're feeling, write that out. As a matter of fact, listen, I don't have the finances for this. You need to figure this out. I found out later that my grandmother actually had a grocery store in Black Bottom, and when they put that freeway in, that took her grocery store.
Oh wow!
And as kids, she consistently encouraged us in the area of entrepreneurship. I remember when we had a girls club that we were doing. I was about 7 or 8. We had a girls club because we wanted some Nikes, right?
Oh wow!
And she said, "Okay, well, I don't have funds for Nike, so my funds is paid less. So if you want Nikes, you got to figure out how to get it. Don't do nothing that's gonna land you in jail because I'm not visiting you and I'm not writing."
So you was gonna write her though. If you didn't end it to jail, you was gonna write.
Listen, I'm right along. So she said, "I'm gonna make the first investment." She purchased rhinestones and hats, and we were decorating hats and shirts and I was writing little things for people and drawing pictures. At that time, I was drawing. So I would draw pictures and sell them 25 cents up to $1, depending on how big the picture was. So we're selling things in the community. Well, we're raising money, we're having parties and stuff and all that stuff. But it was her. And what she also had us do is the next set of supplies we needed, you needed to have saved money from the things you earned and buy your own stuff.
Wow, so she taught you great lessons. So now there came a point where you stopped writing.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Woo, 2020. A lot of us, when we say 2020, it was the best of times and it was the worst of times.
Absolutely.
Be real.
So I need to grab some tissue. This is live. This is real.
Yeah.
This girl got me over here. But okay, my nose running. I'm just saying, my nose was running.
Listen,
okay,
we're flowing.
So we are. So tell me about 2020.
2020.
You stopped writing.
I did. I stopped writing. I got to go back to 2019 to tell you about 2020. So 2019, I married the love of my life, right? October 19th of 2019. We met through Facebook Messenger. He slid in my DMs, right?
So this works.
Sometimes, listen, sometimes it goes down in the DM.
Apparently, I see a guy on here watching, and he said somebody was in his DM all the time. He knows what I'm talking about. I used to work with this guy. He's a jokester, so
yes.
He's talking about this girl always in his DM. So you better listen to this story. So I ain't gonna call your name because it's like a couple of guys on here, so it could be one or the other. But
oh my!
Okay, go ahead.
But yes. So it came in my DMs. We were not friends on Facebook at the time. We had one mutual friend, and I personally do not know that friend. They're on my Facebook, but I don't know.
So you had a mutual. Don't say who it is, because then they gonna think y'all know each other for real.
Right. No, I don't know.
You know how people think we best friends.
Yeah, like, what's up, girl?
That's all you say. How you doing? How your mama now? Because I know you.
I get it.
But anyway, okay, so he slid in your DMs.
So he slid in my DMs, and I asked him a series of questions when he was in my DMs, and the way he answered the questions made me go and look at his page. Let's see what's going on here. Who's this guy? Right. From there, we connected, and we had a 1.5-year courtship. So here's this wedding, right? We have this wedding. My grandmother's dealing with a lot of physical issues and things like that. I'll briefly read something from here so you can see what that looks like. But she was dealing with a lot of physical things. February of 2020, my grandmother dies. Now, this is the grandmother who raised me. Well, I'll go to her house. I was going to her house every Sunday, sitting, listening to the stories, laughing, cracking jokes, and I was devastated when she passed. And I remember in the hospital, my husband said to my grandma, "You don't have to worry about Teresa, I got her." And she said, because for her,
that was.
I wonder if she knew. I don't know. You're right. But for her, I'm gonna tell you what
they say people know.
Yeah, sometimes. But one of the things she said for years is you cannot make promises that you personally can't guarantee. And when you say you're always going to be there for someone, you don't have the power to personally guarantee that promise. So when he made the statement, she was like, because for her it was like, whatever, that you can't make that guarantee, so I'm not holding on to that. But for him, it was like, why she don't believe me? I said, listen, grandma is straight up no chaser. She had to be. She had to deal with me. She had to deal with the rest of us. She had to be. So that's why she said what she said. Now, I remember we were in the hospital, and I'm going to before my grandmother passed. We were in the hospital, and the nurse came in and said, "Miss Minnie, you going home?" She said, I'm going home to be with my Lord. And the lady said, "No, you're going home with family." She said, what time is your shift over? Since you don't believe what I believe, you can leave.
Ooh.
I said, what? But shortly after is when she passed. My husband, he was living here at the time. We met, but our courtship was long distance because he lived in Columbia, South Carolina. He moved here after the wedding. So we're going through this, and here comes March. And now my husband dies after 5 months of marriage.
Girl.
So you're talking about angry. Oh, I went through that. Angry with God. I was angry with myself. I was angry with all the people, because some people who didn't know me personally and some who did sliding DMs. Did he have any underlying conditions?
It don't matter. Your husband dead.
He just that. What's wrong with y'all? You know.
People so horrible.
Woo! It was
Just
horrible.
say, I'm sorry for your loss, and or don't even say nothing.
Right. If you don't have any compassion,
just shut up.
Exactly.
But child, here,
Right.
our community. So child, what happened?
What happened?
Girl, was
What?
he sick? Did he not tell you? Shut up. But anyway, okay, so
Went through that period, right, of those type of things. But during that time, I experienced a major depression. So I'm dealing with this major depression. Now I am a fully licensed clinical therapist, years experience, right? However, during that period of my life, with them 2 back-to-back major losses, I couldn't counsel anybody. I had to take a break. So I made sure I wasn't counseling anybody, because sometimes when you're going through major transitions, it's important to take the time for you.
absolutely.
If you're not healed and you're not strong, you're just going to pour all of that venom off on the next person. And to me, my clients deserve better.
Well, I'll say this, and I was thinking about somebody I know. Some people, and I heard this years ago, some people would rather live in their grief than
Ooh.
get better.
Because it's familiar.
Okay, Familiar. I read
It's
a
Familiar.
book called Familiar once, and it was a phenomenal book. But anyway, we're talking about your book and your loss, and so you stopped writing because
I
you were
stopped writing.
angry and
I felt like my grandmother was one of my major supporters, and my husband was as well, right? With my grandmother, when I published the first book, like, she was the first person that told me, "Why are you writing an autobiography? Nobody's gonna buy that book. You're too young to write that." I said, "Watch me." So I wrote it, I
did
published
you write
it.
it in your journal?
Look at here.
Stand it,
Help me,
lady.
'cause
She
you
done
know
told
what?
me. She done told me something else.
Grandma, watch me. So when I published it, and I came back to her and I said, "Grandma, my books are published." She said, "Oh, you published it? Give me 5 copies."
Uh-huh.
I said, "Okay, Grandma." Here, she said, "No, how much do I owe you? Because I need to show you how people are supposed to treat you."
And that's true, because people want stuff for nothing.
They want stuff for nothing. But she said, "Things of value deserve an investment.
Yes. Oh, I like that. Things of value.
Things of value deserve an investment.
Mm-hmm.
And I am going to invest in you. So I want to pay full price for every book. I want 5 copies."
So you have something in your book you want to read us, and I want you to read
Yes.
us.
So this is when I actually got back in the flow. As a matter of fact, before this book, I wrote a foreword in a book called Faith, Failure, Success, Stories Along the Entrepreneur Journey. So I wrote 2 pages. Because when I stopped writing, I said, "I don't want to write again. I'm done with this. My main 2 supporters are gone." And I was dealing with that intensity of depression. To get me back in the flow of writing and to deal with the magnitude of the grief, I would post a memory with my late husband, and then I would think about what lesson I can glean from that memory, and I would post that, and I just kept reading and reading and things like that. So then I got in the flow of writing. Well, at the period where I'm like, okay, I'm all right with writing a little bit, but I still don't want to write a book. I was approached with regards to writing the foreword in that book. So I wrote the foreword. That jump started me into being willing to write a chapter in this book.
Show the people the book.
This is Faith, Failure, Success, Surviving the Storm. Faith, Failure, Success, Surviving the Storm.
Okay, there we go. We got a real live author right here.
Hey, y'all.
And she trains people. We're going to talk about that in a second.
Yes. So in this book, my chapter is called Life on Fire.
Mm.
It was a fire. So I'm describing my experiences in 2020 with the loss of my grandmother and the loss of my husband. And what also people don't talk about is what felt like a loss. During this time, I went through what they called a hysterical pregnancy. And what my doctor said happened was my mind went back to a place when it was happiest, dealing with this, when everything happened. And that was during the time my late husband and I, we were talking about having children. So we were talking about having children, then he dies, and that period of time before that, there was sex, right? There was an encounter. So my body So started to produce all these excesses gases and making all these symptoms. So I had all the pregnancy symptoms. I had the tenderness of breast. I was showing as if I was about 6 months pregnant. I had ultrasounds. I had all this stuff, going to all these different doctor's appointments.
Wow.
Until they finally said, okay, wait a minute. What was the last thing that what did you and your husband talk about? And I said, we talked about having kids. He wanted to have kids. He was 39 and 39. We talked about kids. Okay, here's the connection. You got a phantom pregnancy going on.
Wow.
You're going to have to deal with your mind, because this is where mindset coaching comes in. You're going to have to deal with your mind to disconnect so that your mind can stop convincing your body that it's pregnant, so that you can stop experiencing all of these symptoms and all this stuff. So they gave me this low-five, this diet that they, something with gas to reduce that. I forget what it's called. But they gave me this plant.
Fiber, high fiber?
I was like, low.
No, that's okay.
It's something, but
So
I had to.
y'all smart people.
Had to make sure.
Put it in the chat, 'cause we couldn't even figure out the years. So y'all help us out here. We just over here, we help people through grief or deal with
Let's
grief.
work this out. Everybody in their own lane, right?
So we're gonna stay in our lane. Okay, so if any medical people in here, put it in there. So
Yes.
we know what it is. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so it was this diet that they had me doing to make sure I decrease the body's production of excess gas to stop some of these symptoms. But beyond that diet, I had to look myself in the mirror and work on my mindset. I had to dive deeper into devotionals dealing with the mind. I did a lot of mindset work to make sure I do my part. And prayer, let me tell you, prayer is what got me through that.
Well, that works for you. What about people who don't pray?
People who don't pray, it's gonna be real hard. I'm not even gonna hold you up.
I'm gonna say this: people who don't pray, they still need to walk through the grief.
You do,
and you still need to deal with it.
Yes, you do.
Because if you don't, you said since you were 7 years old, you were dealing with the grief.
Absolutely,
But that's a long time.
it is.
Especially as a child, because childish minds don't know how to process it. You had a mother. My mother died. I was an adult.
Right.
That's different. My father died. I was a teenager. That's different.
Right.
Because I still hadn't fully developed in my mind. So anyway, go ahead and read us your book.
Okay. So the passage I'm going to read you, I'm gonna jump right in the middle. Ready? Okay. One of those opportunities occurred when we discussed where we would go for Thanksgiving in 2019. Honey, let's go to visit my family this year for Thanksgiving and then go spend time with your family next year, Vincent stated. As those words proceeded from his mouth, my mind nailed each of them to the cross and yelled, "Crucify him!" I knew how ill my grandmother was, and I did not want to miss an opportunity to share her favorite holiday with her. Instead of responding to him with a "how dare you" tone and posture, I responded to the king in him. Honey, I know you miss your family, and I respect that, but I can't fathom not spending Thanksgiving with my grandmother this year. Remember when I told you that some of the statements she has been making lately are causing me to wonder if she is trying to warn me that she may not be living much longer? It would crush me if she died and the last opportunity that I could have with her, I missed it. Let's go visit your family next year and spend time with my grandmother this year, I replied. Okay, honey, that's fine. I have been asked to preach at the Baptist Convention again next year in July, so we could also spend time with my family during that time. Will you be able to take time off from work to support me? Vincent asked. Yay, congrats, superstar, yes. All right, so that's a brief snippet.
Get the book for the rest of it.
Get the book for the rest. Okay, see what happened. But yes, so after writing the foreword, this is when I wrote chapter, and now I'm writing Hurt But Grateful, which will be more details about my story. In this chapter, I give a brief snippet about what I dealt with in 2020, but I'm also going to highlight the lessons learned and things like that in the book Hurt But Grateful.
So, as we're wrapping this up, you have Clarity in the Pen conference coming up.
Yes!
Tell me about it.
Clarity in the Pen conference. This conference is taking place at the Hilton in Romulus, Michigan. I have 7 experts that are going to be sharing with you how to get over grief, like your forgiveness process, because sometimes it's hard to forgive people. we are told to, but the process is what this coach is going to discuss. She's a forgiveness coach. Then I have another coach that's going to talk about wealth and behavior, right? There's there's an owner that will be discussing how to market that story. We have another speaker that will be discussing how to take the book global, right?
Oh, wow.
So each different speaker is going to give you tools and techniques you can use to go from start to finish at the Clarity in the Pen conference.
Wow. So people, how can they register for this Clarity in the Pen conference?
Yes, you can register for that conference by going to royalclarityview.as.me. You can go to royalclarityview.com. You could also just send me a message on Facebook or Instagram, Twitter. I am at Latresa Rice at all of those places. LATRESARICE. Now,
Rice?
Yeah,
Regular?
that's regular.
Okay.
All together.
Regular rice, y'all.
There we go.
Not brown rice.
Not brown rice, regular rice.
Not jasmine rice. Regular rice.
Yes. So all those locations, feel free to reach out to me. An aspect of the conference, it is separate, but for those who register for the conference, they get to go in free, is the Writer's Ball.
Tell me about the Writer's Ball.
The Writer's Ball is the premier costume party. So you're going to come dressed in a costume of a character from a book that you read, and we will dine and network and have fun. This is for aspiring authors.
Oh, nice. So I know people, writing helps you through your grief if you're into writing. I journaled since I was a teenager, and in my ebook, in my classes, I tell people, journal.
Mm-hmm.
Journaling helps.
Yes.
I didn't say that when you were talking about, because your story is hilarious. I don't think anybody ever read my journal. Just writing. All right, I can't stand these people in this house, but nobody ever read it. But yours got.
So she read the journal.
You had followers and shit.
Let me see what else is going on in this book.
Oh my God. So show us your 2 books, and if anybody has any questions, because we're about to end.
Absolutely. This is my most recent book. So this is called Burning the Help.
Okay.
This book is written from the perspective of a babysitter who once loved to watch other people's children, but there are different things that took place that caused them to no longer desire to do so. But it highlights what things a parent can do to avoid burning out their support network.
Yeah, because caregivers get burnout.
Yes, they do.
Caregivers get burnout, and then when the person dies, there's a whole myriad of emotions that they need to deal with.
Absolutely.
So that's a good book for that too. So if anybody has any questions, please put them in the chat, and I thank you for watching today. This has been fun.
Yes.
It's been enlightening, and we're going to work on something for teenagers, for children.
Absolutely.
Okay, guys, thank you for joining us, all that joined us. If you have any questions, you can inbox me, or spell your first name again so that they can find
LATRESA, last name RICE.
That's what I wanted you to spell. Not brown rice, white rice. Regular rice. It's regular rice.
just regular.
It's regular rice. No other kind of, not jasmine rice.
None of that. Just regular.
Not shrimp rice.
Listen, regular.
Regular rice. Anyway, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming, and we really got a lot out of what you said today. You've been dealing with grief, and we don't think about when children have to deal with grief.
We don't.
You've been dealing with grief since you were 7.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate you coming on. Losing your mom at that young age.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, at least you got to tell people.
Listen, I thank God for Grandma.
You
Let
told
me
her
tell
how
you.
you felt. You did.
Listen, I was able to go back and apologize because
Because
of what I heard.
You was telling her off every chance you got. Right here. She get on my nerves. If she say that one more time, I'm gonna smack her.
I'm mad.
You 7. But
Listen,
anyway.
listen. and writing. She even, for example, my sister and I got into an argument, and my grandmother said you can write however you feel to the other person. I said I could do whatever I want to say to her. Yes. Oh, I put all kind of stuff in my letter to my sister. She said, y'all gonna read it out loud to each other. I said, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. And she set us across from each other, and we had to read these letters. But the thing that she said was, whatever negative word you put in there, you had to say the exact opposite. So imagine these two kids reading and crying. I love my sister. She is the best thing that ever happened to me. Oh, so mad.
Writing helps the imagination. I know
Yes.
that. And writing frees your mind.
Absolutely.
I was told by an instructor one time, if you write stuff down, it comes out of your head.
It's a release.
It releases and it frees your mind. So this is a writing coach. So if you want to write, I mean, I've written an ebook, I've written some articles, but this is a writing coach. So if you feel like your mind needs to be freed, or you have a story inside of you, do you do
Absolutely.
Fictional or anything? You just do all kind
This
of.
one is fiction.
Okay.
Absolutely. However, I've had some experiences, but I had to completely transition everything.
That's creative. You
Yeah.
have a creative mind.
Thank you.
So thanks everybody for watching. This was very interesting.
Yes.
And somebody put hearts on your Facebook Live. So,
Thank you, Patrice. Thank you, Nyambi. That's
Hey.
my sister.
I know my
Hey,
name.
Martha.
Hey Nyambi.
Hey,
Hey
Krista.
girl. Hey y'all. I ain't calling y'all names. I see family in here. I see people
Yes.
of the community in here. Okay, y'all. We done. Rice. Regular rice. This is regular rice right here. Okay. Y'all have a good day.
Have a
Bye-bye.
good day, everybody.